board. So I don't forget, right? Welcome to our third part of this 4-part series. So you all know I'll be sharing the links with you again as well. If you didn't receive parts 1 and parts 2 yet, you'll have the link. You can go back and watch those replays. And of course, part 4 is on Monday, but don't overwhelm yourself with dates and replays and everything else. Y'all will be getting all the links of where to watch those. Just worry about be here, be present for this epic part 3. No, Chris, Boo, you are fine to be here. If you didn't watch part 1 and part 2 yet, you can receive this part and then go back. Because the beautiful thing about these 4-part series, just so everybody is aware, yes, we kind of are going through it in a linear fashion because here we are playing in the 3rd dimension and things sometimes just have to be delivered in a linear way. However, you can receive these 4 pieces of this puzzle in any kind of order because they really just stack together and work amongst each other. So if this is your first one, great, awesome, you're here perfectly, trusting in the perfection of that and that you are just meant to understand the mental plane, right? And step into this portal, understand the mental plane and the mental alchemy so you can move into receiving the rest of them. And I know the perfection in that for all of you. So yes, you guys, just so you know, right, we've got pages and pages of stuff that was coming through as I was preparing for today. And I'm so lit up. Lori, you can already feel it, right? I'm so lit up to give this to you guys, to just pass it on to you because this is the stuff, right? This is how we, right? Remember who you are isn't just a fluffy word that gets thrown around. I mean, it is a fluffy kind of phrase that gets thrown around, but it really means something. And by the end of today, you all are going to understand fully what that means. So give me a yes in those comments if you are ready to understand your power as a conscious co-creator of your reality. If you are fully ready to just remove the veil and understand how and why you are creating the things you are creating, even if those things kind of suck sometimes, all right? So a couple pieces of housekeeping before we get into it. All right, David's here. Madeline, beautiful. We got Patty, we got all the Davids. Alicia, hi. Lori's good, awesome. Trisha, good to see you. Becca, Sharn, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Lori, so happy you guys are all here. Yay, Candace, hi. So good to see you all. So happy. I feel you guys. I feel your vibes. I feel your readiness for this. All right, so housekeeping. If this is your first one, chat box, make sure that little blue button says panelists and attendees. No matter if you're on your phone on Zoom or on the computer on Zoom, just make sure it says panelists and attendees. This way, right now, a lot of you are on panelists, so I'm the only one seeing your comments. So if you all, I don't know why Zoom kind of defaults to that. I can play around and see if it's something in my settings, but it seems like Zoom defaults to putting everybody on panelists, and that means only I can see you. So I want you guys to all be able to see each other because it's an added layer of what happens in these webinars. When you can all see each other, there you go, Lori, you got it, right? When you all can see each other's comments, it really lets you know just how much you're not alone, right? And how much you all are having similar experiences and how much you relate to each other. So go ahead and give that little switch a flick and turn it to panelists and attendees. Besides that, I just really invite you all to be here fully, be here present, because something that I kind of received recently and really understood and really landed deep for me was this idea that like, there is no greater investment you can make in yourself than investing into the expansion of your consciousness, right? And when I say investing, that doesn't necessarily mean financially, right? You're investing in the expansion of your consciousness with your time and your energy just by being here on this webinar today, right? We invest with our time, our energy, our focus. Money is just like one piece of that, right? Money is just it's like a mode, a means of investing, but behind money is really our energy, our attention, our time, our commitment, right? And so when we're willing to invest in the expansion of our consciousness, Lisa, you made it. I love it. Perfect timing. When we're willing to invest in the expansion of our consciousness, that is one investment that is always guaranteed to pay off. Do you guys get that? And you're going to understand why that is by the end of today. All right. Because, right, we're so conditioned to think, let me invest in things outside of myself, homes, cars, education, right? And all of these things. And what is one of the biggest things people have seen about education in the last 15 years, right? I know a ton of friends that I went to high school with that went out and ran out to get bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and doctorates. And I'm not bagging on degrees by any means, but I've seen a very real pattern playing out where people with all these degrees can't actually get jobs. And so it's like they made this massive investment into themselves getting these degrees, and the jobs they're getting don't really compensate for what they've invested in themselves. So, and give me a yes if you all know somebody like that, right? Maybe it's you. So when we invest in the expansion of our consciousness, because that is what puts you into wider and wider and wider understanding of how you're creating. So how could that not pay itself back tenfold, right? Because if you're expanding your consciousness, guess what comes as a result of that? Health, wealth, love, freedom, connection, all of the things that we think we can buy when we go out and look and chase objects actually come when we expand our consciousness. So my invitation for you is to invest in yourself for this hour and a half in the means of just being fully present, turn off the other, any other distractions, lock the door, get your candles, get your tea or coffee or your beverage, get your crystals, light your candle, get your oils, whatever it is, get your dog, cuddle up and be here. And I get it. Some of you are at work and you're listening on your lunch break, and that's cool too, but definitely go back and watch the replay when you can receive the whole thing in full presence. Hey, even if you're here for the whole thing, go back and watch it again because you'll receive more from an expanded state. Cool. So is everybody happy to be here, be present, and engage, right? You guys know me. Engagement is like my love language. When I see you guys lighting up that chat thread, I am just like, yes, they're getting it. They're receiving it. They're excited, and beyond that, even beyond just like chatting and commenting, receive it, right? Because this is so much more than words. Like what I'm passing on to you today, some of what I'm going to say, your mind, your intellectual mind is going to be like, no, I reject that. And that's okay, right? I invite you to sit with that. So much, yeah. Sharon, we're sending the energy for the children, right? Anybody, we're just sending the vibes and set the intention for the children to allow you the space to receive this. And hey, invite them in. They might want to receive it too. So much of what you're going to be receiving today is frequency. It's through the quantum. It's coming into your field, and it's going to be integrating over the days to come, right? Those of you that received day 1 and 2 already, you all know. Share with me in the comments if you were here for 1 and 2, physical and emotional. Have you noticed shifts since you did those things? Have you felt those things, the activations we've done expanding in your field? Have you noticed things coming up as you've noticed your own patterns, right? Feel free to share in the comments if you're comfortable to do so. So yeah, just really engage, ask questions. I love when, it's just like if we were here live, right? I imagine when I'm speaking to you all through a screen, I imagine that you're all sitting right there. I don't imagine that I'm staring at myself in the computer screen. I imagine that I am speaking and I'm looking you right in the eyes as I'm talking to you all. And it's like that, right? And so when you're engaged, I can feel it. And those are you, I see you all out there, right? We're making eye contact, you're laughing, you're getting it, you're receptive, you're open. And that lights me up. All right. Cool. And then other than that, the rest of you two know, if you're new to me, anything goes in these webinars. We will talk about things that may challenge your mind. We may talk about things that challenge some of your perceptions, and that's a good thing, right? I want to challenge your perceptions, because when you challenge your own perceptions, that's when you expand your consciousness. When you become willing to consider something that maybe you couldn't consider before, your consciousness expands. Yeah. Oh, right there in the comments. Yes, Alicia, right in the comments. is cool. All right. So I'm just going to check up. So if everybody is good with that, if they're happy to be challenged, if you're happy to hear about anything from, religion to politics to Jesus to aliens, you're in the right place. Lenka, you're here. Hi. Lori, a lot's been coming up, a lot of inner child healing. Yes. I felt a lot of relief and relaxed, but drained some days. And that happens too, right, you guys? Because it is work, right? We're releasing, we're shifting. It's not easy to shift an entire human collective consciousness, right? Nor is it easy to even shift our own individual consciousness. And that is what we're doing right now, right? It is work. So even sometimes just being present to navigate through your own crap that you're clearing, right? That takes effort and energy. So if you're tired and you're feeling tired sometimes, that's okay too. That's part of it. That's when we really want to just get into some self-care and ground and breathe and be gentle on ourselves, right? So Lisa, yeah, working in the fields, don't have anything to, yeah, exactly, Trisha, right? Boo said, I've learned more from plants themselves, right, than you ever received from your degree, right? And give me a yes if any of you relate with that, that that you've kind of received and understood more through your kind of spiritual and energetic and quantum awakenings than you ever did in a school system. And really, what I want you guys to take away from this by the end of today is the understanding that if we taught this in schools, we'd be creating heaven on earth like this. But it all starts within ourselves, right? For us to be able to create the dream that we have of that is new earth, we have to stop looking at everything that's wrong, right? And we have to start shifting into understanding our power as conscious creators of our reality. All right. Awesome. Yes, 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 yes. All the yeses. Thank you, Madeline. What was going on? Oh, wait. Yeah, exactly. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, David and Madeline. We're going to be talking about, what's going on and how we're shifting through multiple realities at one time as we are on this 4D bridge, right? Cool. Night sweat's a part of this. I mean, it can be. Think about when somebody detoxes, right, from drugs or alcohol. When our physical body detoxes from a substance, sweat, aches, pains, right, that's all a real thing. So why couldn't it be a real thing for the energetic purge, right? The spiritual purge. These ascension symptoms, you guys, think about it. Your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, and your energy body are all purging crap that has kept you anchored. Crap. It served us. We chose it. All right. But I'm still gonna call it crap. It's the density. We're purging that. Our cells are squeezing it out as the light comes in, right? We're blasting it out. So yeah, there are all kinds of symptoms that may be being released physically, mentally, emotionally. We just had a Cancer full moon, right? Was anybody else crying at the drop of a hat? I was. Plus I'm a Cancer rising. So oh, hell yes. I love it. Woo, we're in the right place. All right, cool. We are ready. So Lisa, I would love to teach all this stuff to people seeking. Well, exactly. And this is your journey, right, Lisa? Because so that's the perfect segue. Actually, just a tiny little bit about me and the reason today's topic is so like lit up for me and I'm just so passionate about it is because this is the key. The reason I called this section Mental Alchemy the portal is because this is really the key. Okay. Now, if you're someone like me, so long story short, so much of my life was spent feeling like I was beating my head against a wall. So much of my life was spent in overwhelm, frustration, control, and trauma response that I didn't even know that I was in. Right. So give me a yes if you can relate to feeling frustrated as fuck in life because either that you're meant to do something, but you're not letting yourself do it, or you desire money and freedom and part of you believes you can have that, but you're not letting it in on the level you desire. Success, is it love, is it health? Like, do you have some chronic health thing that keeps popping up and there's this other part of you that's like, I know that I am here for more than this chronic health bullshit, right? Yet the chronic health bullshit keeps fucking coming up. Or it's the pattern in the relationship, right? Or it's the self-sabotage that keeps you from playing small in your business and your purpose, right? This is the thing, right? I've spent my life training for this so I could pass it on to all of you because boom, now I get it. Now I get it. I understand how we create, right? Through universal law. And I also, oh, you guys, that struggle. When I think about the times in my life when whether it was an addiction or even just when I was sober and then I was in my business and I was like trying, give me a yes if you can relate to trying so hard and feeling like you just can't make it happen. Working on it. Yep. I need to get past this. Hell yes. Yes. Right. I'm trying so hard and I just can't make it happen. Right? That paradigm has followed me through life. And it's painful, right? In some areas. And that's perfect, Alicia, because here's the thing, right? It's not in every single area, right? We have the areas where we're doing well. And then we have the areas that are kind of a little bit like funky. And we usually are just kind of want like, all right, I'm just going to like pretend like this is okay. When there's this deeper part of us that knows we're actually here for more, right? And it's that split and that divide that makes me so passionate about sharing this with the world, right? And this is why I do this. This is why I do this work and why I'm so excited to deliver this, because I remember what it felt like when I didn't understand this, right? When I was 28 years old, I would have paid anything to understand what 40-year-old me understand. Shit, even to have the understanding I had 5 years ago after my awakening, 7 years ago when I first woke up, right? 28-year-old me, I would have given anything to have these understandings to relieve my suffering. Because back then I didn't even understand I was creating my own suffering. Right? Even when I was traveling the world and I was having fun and I had money and I was in relationships and I was still suffering deep inside. Right? Things were okay in my life. Like people thought I had a great life, but inside it didn't feel good. Right? So that's why I do this work. Now, give me a yes if you're someone who knows that's why you want to do this work, right? You want to do it not just for yourself, to free your lineage, to free your ancestors, but also to free your children and the generations that are coming after you, right? And that you understand by doing this work, like you're going to collectively support so many people in shifting into their own freedom. Right? We want this for everybody. Yes. And just be mindful. Some of you guys are switched back to panelists. So if you want to switch yourself back, go for it. Cool. So that's just a little bit about me and why I love this work and why I'm doing this. All right. So let's get into it. I even have slides for you guys again today. So grown up. Oh, I love making slides. I never thought that day would come. But because I love my work, I love making slides. How fun is that, right? All right, can you guys all see the screen? I know it's like taking a minute. There we go. It's like really taking a minute. Okay, cool. Can everybody see the screen? And we are going to do just a little bit of a review, just so that you guys that are just joining us can get the whole picture. Plus, repetition is medicine. Freedom for all, right? Like that's the world we want to create. All right, so everybody can see the slide. So just give me a yes if you can see the slide and still hear me. So we're just quickly coming back to the 4 light keys of ascension. Thank you, Becca, and David and Alicia. All right. So here we are, right? The 4 light keys of ascension. Ascension, this process of awakening, this process of really being able to step into and command our own creations happens on a few levels, right? Because what ascension is about is remember from day one, right? The body is ascending. The physical body is purging density so that it can ascend and exist in higher frequency consciousness. Our higher consciousness self already exists in higher frequency realms. Our higher consciousness self is descending, and we're meeting in the middle in what is going to be the fifth dimension when we get there. Okay. So, for that to happen, the physical body has to come along for the ride. That was our day one, right? Physical alchemy codes, understanding what's happening in the body to be able for it to ascend. The emotional alchemy ascension, right? The purging of that density and turning that density actually into the gold within, right? That becomes our purpose. And then our mental alchemy, which is today, understanding how to get the conscious and subconscious to line up and understand how you're creating your reality. And then also then moving into the embodiment of soul, right? The true soul frequency, right? And being able to hold that and understand what our purpose is. And that's what we're going to be talking about on Monday. All right. So today we're here. We're in the mental alchemy plane. Day one and day two go into these. And of course, you guys know this is an introduction, right? I'm giving you a foundation to start with in these 4 webinars. This is a foundation and an introduction. I cannot give you everything over the series of, 4.5 hour webinars. There are entire journeys that come for each of these full embodiments. And that's what we do in my program, The Portal. All right. So if you know that you're into this and you want to go deeper, then you'll want to think about coming and working more deeply when you're ready, right? But this is a powerful introduction and foundation for you guys to get started in navigating this. So very quickly, right? Where 3D is the old paradigms, the old systems, the very objective, linear, 3D intellect, ego based structures that we're watching crumble right now. That was 3D, right? We're in this portal. We're on the 4D bridge. And that means that all realities exist right now. All right. We're heading to 5D, but as we know from our emotional conversation, we're not there yet, obviously, right? All we need to do is look around and recognize we're not yet, we haven't anchored in the full field of 5D yet, but we're on our way there. Please get everything that's happening in the world is part of this journey. Okay. So if we're on this portal and we're in this bridge, right, of the 4th dimension, and all these realities exist, and there's all these earths, just like this picture you guys see here, right? Oh my God, all infinite earths. This is a quantum reality. But what is it that determines what earth you're playing on? What earth are you creating? What reality are you creating? Who wants to take a stab in the comments about what is creating, how you're creating your reality? Thought, intuition, focus. Good. That's close. Like, good, that's trippy, right? And this is what it actually would look like if you could see it from a zoomed out enough perspective. But you see, right, it would make the intellect and the ego go crazy. That's why we can't fully know this yet. Madeline, the question was, what determines what reality we're playing in? If all these realities exist, what determines the reality you're creating for yourself? Whatever you're embodying, our energy, setting intention, feeling the feelings that would come with it. Thought, intuition, and focus. I contemplated this. We create our own reality. We do. How do we create it? And you guys are all. So what if I told you predetermined 5D agreements coupled with 3D free will? Yep, partly. Our thoughts and perceptions. Alicia, you nailed the word I was looking for. So everything you guys have said is correct. Okay. And stay with me now, right? Everything you all have said is correct, because everything you all have said feeds our perception. Every single bit of it, you guys, our energy, our beliefs, our programs, our soul contracts, our karma, our decisions in this life, our vibrations, our emotions, all of it contributes to our perception. And how much of what's really happening we're able to perceive is determined by our consciousness, right? And where is our consciousness? Is our consciousness contracted in fear? And some of you, Trisha, you've been around long enough for this. Oh, where is it? Here it is. Do you guys know what this is? So I don't have the discs. They're in the closet. But has everybody seen one of these before? I'm dating myself. So if you're a baby and you don't know what this is, this is called a Viewmaster. Okay, Patty, Viewmaster. Those of us that grew up and were born back in the age of analog, and we didn't have technology when we were born, this is the type of shit we had to entertain ourselves with, right? And basically there's a whole little circle of pictures that pop in here, and as you click it, it goes through the story. I remember one of my first Viewmasters was Michael Jackson Thriller, and I got to go through the Thriller music video, and it took me through the whole story. Okay, right? So this is basically a very archaic rendition of our perception of the world. Okay, right, Lenka? So it's like, what are you looking through? Okay, are you looking through the filter of I have no power? Or are you looking through the filter of I fully believe I have the power and trust and believe that in between I have no power and I believe I have all the power, there are infinite other versions of that, right? That can be infused with, well, I kind of believe I have the power, but I also doubt it a little bit. So sometimes I manifest and other times I don't, right? And so this is how we create, right? So what determines our perception? Our level of consciousness. And that is why investing in your consciousness, expanding your consciousness, will always pay off. Because think about it, right? If you are approaching the world, when does this get easy? When you surrender. Yeah, I think it's when you surrender and you start to really release and expand your consciousness around certain limited beliefs. Yeah, as soon as you let it, because I really believe, here's my take on that, you guys, and this is just my belief, and you know, you're more than welcome to disagree, but I believe that it is it's when we still have a bunch of stuff inside. I don't want to say, I want to get away from saying healed or unhealed, because I don't necessarily like think I don't necessarily like to think of these things as wounds or weaknesses or bad things. I think that they're just experiences that we've created for ourselves so we can know our own power. Yes, some of these experiences were painful and they were traumatic, which simply means that we hold a contracted view of them. Okay, it's not bad, it's not a wound, it's not a weakness. We just have contracted, limited beliefs that are deep within that keep it being hard. And we're going to get more into that today. So this is the perfect conversation for that question today, David. Okay. So it gets easier when we really start clearing out all of those little pockets of the things we don't realize are in there that are still holding contracted states. Now, this is hard for the ego, all right, because as we go through these stages of alchemy or stages of ascension, right? And this goes whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or energetically, right? It's like we come to an awareness. Okay, there is another way, right? That's the first expansion of consciousness. Oh, there might be more. There might be another way. And then we make a decision. Okay. So to hammer this point home, you guys have heard the story of like when I had my first big spiritual awakening, which was literally like a soul braiding moment. I had been battling addiction, depression, anxiety, all the things, cancer, struggle, chronic pain, right? All of that. I don't need to go into detail on what struggle looks like, but I had worked being powerlessness into my reality so deeply that powerlessness was manifesting in every area of my life. I was broke, I was homeless, I was addicted, I was depressed, I had cancer, I had chronic pain, I attracted partners that were horrible. My health was like teetering, right? So all of these things, I manifested powerlessness in every single area of my life because my perception was so deeply that I was powerless that that's what I was creating. Okay. Now, through that, obviously, some very crazy, painful, traumatic things happened because you don't create powerlessness without creating traumatic experiences. Okay. So it wasn't until I had this moment when I was standing there and it was this moment of surrender. And I remember it so clearly, right? I was in the yard of this facility I had gone into detox and I was smoking cigarettes and I was crying because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know like where I was going to go. And this very real part of me wanted to continue acting like I had the answers. I wanted to continue going out stubbornly, trying to run my life the way that I knew how, which wasn't working. And this greater part of me came in, and there was this awareness of like, there is another way. And the moment I took that awareness into my field and I accepted it, it was immediately like there was like an expansion of my mind and my consciousness, right? And that's what a rapid, instant spiritual awakening is. It's an instant acceptance of, right, Madeline, right? It's an instant acceptance of awareness, decision, and activation of truth. Boom, all in one sitting. Now, sometimes that has to happen over time, and either way is wonderful. It's perfect for you. In that particular moment, it happened instantly. I surrendered. I made a decision. I was like, I'm going with the expansion. My life started to unfold out in front of me, and that was the beginning of my real awakening and moving into understanding consciousness and integrating those parts of me that were contracted and breaking up the density and bringing it in and learning how to live as an empowered being. Yes. Yes, Becca. Now you guys get it, right? So this is the experience, okay? And the thing is when we move through this, right? What can start to happen is when we have these pockets of contraction, right? And this is how trauma will start to affect what we're creating. And I want to just reiterate again, trauma does not necessarily mean a big, huge traumatic event like a war or an assault or a car accident or like a violation of our person. It's not always that, you guys. Yes, of course, those are traumas, but we also contract and make and buy into limitation around ourselves from any experience that was like a heightened negative emotional state. Now, please get that heightened negative emotional state may have been ours, or it may have been our parents when we were small children. It may have been other people around us, but we were buying into that negative emotional state. In that heightened negative emotional state, we bought into a lie. We made a decision about ourselves and about life, and then we took that within and it became a command that ran in our neural pathways, in our conscious mind. We then continue to create based on that command as we go through life, okay? So what can happen when we start to shift into understanding this is the mind will want to be like, I've healed it. I did it. I did the work. I did the work. I did the work. And then every time we butt up against something or a trigger happens, we get frustrated. We judge ourselves because we think we're deluding ourselves, right? And telling ourselves. Why do you guys think seeing delusion in other people challenges us? It's because we're fucking lying to ourselves, right? We are lying to ourselves out our asses to avoid dealing with the shit we don't want to deal with. Projection is real. All y'all need to do is look at the world right now and you will see projection flying like a fucking bird in the sky. There are so many wounds and traumas and hurts, and I don't want to minimize people's pain. I get it, it's real. But God, are they looking for somebody to project? Everybody's doing it. It's every single group right now. Yes, Sharon, thank you, right? So it's real. We're slinging shit everywhere because this is what we're programmed. Let me get rid of it. If I can make it your fault, I don't have to deal with it. This is the victim grid. This is like the core of the 3D matrix, okay? Now, whether or not it was designed this way or it's been hijacked and distorted, it doesn't matter, honestly. We came here. Every single one of you came here by choice for a reason to have this experience. And I fully believe in the core of my being that we chose the codes and the experiences to an extent, right? We also have free will while we're here, but there are soul contracts playing out, right? But there are so many things playing out that I fully believe I created the extreme powerlessness in my life for 2 decades so that I could hold even more of my own power. Do you guys get that? I'm going to say it again. The more, yeah, Sharon, yeah, receive that, you guys. The more suffering or darkness or pain you have navigated through and been able to hold means that you can hold the counter to that of power, of freedom, of light, of love. Exactly, Boo. That's totally what it is. You can only meet what you desire as deeply as the contrast to it that you have stood in. So oh, Sharon, they want you to switch to panelists and attendees. They can't see you. Every bit of, but do you guys get that I was only able to understand, like truly understand and embody this when I was willing to go in there and actually pull out that moment that I decided I was powerless. Do you guys even like, right? There was a precise moment in my experience where I was in that heightened negative emotional state. I was in extreme stress. Do you guys want to know the exact moment? Do you guys want to know the clearing? Do you guys want to know the story? Because this is how we fucking do it, right? Like this is how we change our beliefs and change our thinkings. So there I was about 19 or 20. And it was when I stepped over the line from just fun, I'm playing with drugs and alcohol and I'm having fun, and I moved into full surrender of my power. And so if you guys don't know, or from like 18 to 24, I struggled with heroin addiction. Okay. So full on, right? Like I'm not going to fuck around. Like I'm going to go for the hard stuff. So in the beginning though, it was all fun and games, right? And there was this moment that I uncovered where I stepped over the line, and it was the first time I stole something to support my drug habit. And I stole from my mom. I took her jewelry. And in this moment, I was, and please get, right, from the time that this happened until the last 6 months, this moment was locked away inside of me. And I didn't even know it was in there. But what happened was I was in extreme stress because I was battling myself. Do I do it? Do I not do it? I didn't want to give in to the desperation. I didn't want to give in to the desperation, but I did. Right? And I went back and forth for like an hour, and I was angry. and I was frustrated and I was confused and I didn't understand how someone like me had gotten to that place where I was standing in the hallway of my parents' house deciding whether or not I was going to take something that was my mother's, that was valuable, right? And I did it. I fucking did it. I went and I took it. And in that moment when I took her jewelry, I remember she had this like thick gold band and this other stuff that was like, she still brings it up, you know, but we're like, we have a wonderful relationship now. She still loves to bring it up, right? So there I was. I took the jewelry. And in that moment, a part of me just shut the fuck down because in that moment, I decide in that heightened negative emotional state, I decided that I was weak. I decided that I was powerless. I decided that I was the type of person who was a fucking loser who stole from my family to support my drug habit. And I locked that decision away inside of me. I locked it away. I sealed it off and I locked it away inside of me. But guess what? That decision became a command in my mind. Right, Lisa? That decision became a command that played over and over in my mind. Not that I could hear it. I wasn't walking around consciously hearing, I'm a loser. I'm the type of person that steals from people. Just like I'm pathetic. I'm powerlessness. I wasn't consciously hearing that. Okay. So can you imagine then as I went through my 20s, right? Like that compounded by some other traumas, it just kept compounding. And so then there I was and I had this awakening. And then I go into business and I'm trying to find success for myself. I know that I'm here to help people, right? I know that I have a powerful message and a mission and understanding. But can you all imagine what it was like trying to let success in when you have a counter belief contraction of like I'm a loser that you don't even know is in there? Like it's amusing now, but please get when I unearthed this, I sat there like bawling for a moment. My body was shaking, it was releasing the anger. I was crying. I forgave myself in that moment, right? I was able to go back and forgive that 19-year-old me who was out of control and doing the best that she could. But I couldn't do that until I acknowledged that moment that I decided I was a fucking loser. Okay. And everything I'm saying is just for example. So we're putting a violet flame around this, right? Because that's how sensitive the subconscious mind is. So, what do you all think it was like trying to achieve success when there was this very real program running that was like loser, worthless, powerless, weak, right? And then I'm wanting to teach people empowerment and how to step into their own power. Boom, Lisa, it's a barrier between me and success. Because how am I going to stand in the embodiment of being a teacher of truth and expanded consciousness when there is a very real part of me that still was believing I'm a loser? So, you guys, this is why we create the back and forth. This is why we don't let in results that we want. Okay, so please get this, might be in any area. And I share this because I'm trying to illustrate to you the power of these things that are floating around underneath the surface of our reality. Exactly, Linka. Everything we say and feel becomes a reality, whether we're aware of it or not. And that's why today we're activating your truth, y'all. But that's why the alchemy work is so important. That's why it's so vital to come and do the deeper work. Continue the journey and let yourself burn away and release it all, right? Identify those pockets so you can clear them out so you can truly hold the embodiment, right? Those are the things that were fueling my imposter syndrome when I started out as a coach. Because how can I, part of me knew that that was still in there. I didn't know it. Right? I didn't know it until I started being willing to go deeper till I was ready to truly expand my consciousness by clearing out all those little pockets. All right. which brings me to one of my favorite quotes, Lenka, right along the lines of what you said. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. So what I want to ask each of you today, I'm going to do this a little bit of a workshop for a minute. I want to, right? So how we expand our consciousness, because I'm sure you're like, okay, well, how do I do this, right? We expand our consciousness by looking at what we are ignorant of within ourselves. Darkness, dark to light. When we bring what is in the darkness into the light, we expand our consciousness. So we have to be willing to look at what we are ignorant of within ourselves, to truly look in the mirror and see what is in there. Now, I wasn't willing to do that, right? So as you can imagine, all of the coaches that I worked with over a very long period of time, this was like a big blind spot. Why wasn't I getting results? I don't know. I'm showing up, I'm doing all the work. Can anybody relate to that? Showing up, I'm doing the work. Why am I not letting the results in? Frustration. Yeah. I wasn't willing to see it, so nobody could mirror that back to me. Right? And so very quickly, I want to come back to this slide. So do you guys see this line? Yeah, exactly, Madeline. Right. And that's where I think as coaches, this new, this new kind of intention of so many of us coaches that want to do the deeper work with people, that's where like our power and our magic is going to be, right? Because I worked with tons of coaches. I've invested over $70,000 in my own personal evolution and growth and learning how to be a business owner. Not one person that I've worked with was able to see through the facade I was putting up. Maybe they didn't have the tool. I believe it's because they probably didn't have the perception to, because they had never had to clear that level of doubt and trauma themselves to achieve success, which is fine. Their journey is their journey, right? But those of us that are actually clearing our deeper trauma, we're going to have a very different perception, a very different filter to be able to help other people someone who hasn't done the deeper work can't help someone like me who was stuck, but pretending I wasn't, because they can't even see it. They were buying into my bullshit too. It was a blind spot. Exactly, Boo. We can only meet someone as deeply as we've gone ourselves. So where I believe the coaching industry can evolve is by those of us who are ready to do the deeper work, to guide people through the deeper work, because we've done it ourselves. Right, Lenka? We've done it ourselves. We've met ourselves so deeply that we can take others through anything. This is why, you guys, when you come and work with me, some of you have experienced it. You can't fucking hide from me. Sharon, you feel me? You cannot hide from me. Ask my husband. He's on here. Ask him if he can hide from me. We can't hide from each other. Because I've gone in there so deeply within myself. It's just obvious. It's also one of my gifts. Like, I just see to the core of things. Quintessence is one of my gene keys. And I love it. This is my work. I love it. I'm so passionate about it. Don't even try to hide from me. This is why I believe people are like, do I really want to come work with her as a coach? Am I really ready to do one of her programs? Do I really want to come work with her one-on-one? Because subconsciously they know that if they do, shit's going to get real and it's going to change. You know that the results are going to come in. Candace, you know, right? So this picture, I'm not sure if this is blowing my conscious mind or subconscious mind. All I know is my mind is blowing up. Mission accomplished. It's blowing both, Patty. That's why it's blowing up, because your conscious mind is taking it in, which means, so coming to this picture, y'all. All right, let's get like educational for a moment. Coming to this picture, and Patty, I'm going to use you as an example, right? It's blowing up because your conscious mind is receiving what we're saying here, right? It's actually accepting it. Now, if you guys can imagine that this line here is your critical mind, okay? So you got your conscious mind, you've got this critical mind, and then you've got your subconscious mind. Okay? Your critical mind, when there is unhealed like trauma stuff or there are limited beliefs, it's like a concrete barrier that sits underneath your conscious mind and is critical of everything and won't accept anything that it deems unsafe or unknown, and it just rejects and rejects and rejects, which means it just gets to keep creating on this loop of whatever it knows. Those of you that did my 5-day challenge, that's your green sweatpants. Okay? So the thing about your subconscious mind, this is objective versus subjective, okay? Feminine, masculine. Or sorry, masculine is the conscious, the active, the logical, the God source. The ideas come in, and if we accept them to the receptive, the subconscious mind is then impregnated with that belief, that thought, that idea, and it then sends it into the solar plexus, which brings it to life in the physical world. I'm going to say that again for you guys, because that's literally the formula for creation. So in an ideal world, the way that we're designed is for the conscious mind to receive the ideas from creator source, God, right? So the masculine, it brings the idea in. It then impregnates the subconscious mind with that idea, with that thought. The subconscious mind receives it, just like a womb. And then when it's fully accepted and the two align in belief, it sends it to the solar plexus where we can bring it to form in the world. Now, what is happening in the world, because of everything in the matrix and the programs and all of the things, doesn't matter if it's reptiles that are doing it or just really disconnected humans. It doesn't matter who's doing it. I think we can all agree on there are very elite groups, whether they come from Alpha Draconis or they're just human, doesn't matter. They are holding on to power. And the power structure, the inverted power structure that is in control of Earth, benefits them. We can all agree on that, right? When we start waking up out of it, and the way that it's designed is that when that cement critical mind is rejecting all new thought, this is the people, you guys, okay? I think we get to a point where we desire being called out. Just so tired of bullshit. Yeah, Sharn, hell yeah. And just right, you guys, like, that's who I want in here. That, please get that. My creations and my programs, like, are not for people. You guys could scroll through some of my public posts and you'll find people jumping in that aren't ready to be called out. Now, I'm not judging them, but they're super triggered by everything I say. And that's okay. That's their experience. I'm not making them wrong. Cool. Live how you need to live. But to come and work with me, you have got to be someone who desires it. You're so done with your shit and so ready to expand, you want to be called out. Exactly. And then they tell you you're gaslighting them 100%, right? Because they're in wound, and that's the perception that they have. They're in such control, and that's the thing, you guys, please get. So to use somebody like that as an example, not from judgment, right? We're loving every single one of them and knowing the perfection of their experience. But let's use the extreme example, okay? Someone like that has a cement wall here in that line that's the critical mind, right? Their conscious mind will not allow or even consider anything besides the thought that they are a victim. Can you imagine what that feels like to live in that reality that their conscious mind just rejects anything other than an agreement of I am a victim and I am powerless and I am broke. Yeah, that's like but and that's I'm not here to break through that fucking concrete barrier. When you're ready to break through it, I'll help you. Right? Madeline, they have to come. I can't. I have tried. I have gotten into full debates and discussions and battles of willpower with somebody, and I probably could break them down eventually, but I'm just not. Shard, you were there. I'm just not willing to do it because why would I spend my energy on that when there are a whole entire pool of people over here that are like, please, I'm ready. Show me. It's like, where is your energy best used? Right? And does it feel good for you to like battle with somebody like that? No. I mean, I get it because I do. Girl, I want to save them all. I do. There's a very real part of me. I want to go in there and fucking break it down and burn it down and smash the windows. Aries, Mars and Venus and Aries, you guys. I want to go in there and I want to disrupt it all. But it's just too exhausting. It's too exhausting. Right? So instead, I'm going to focus my energy on those who are ready because they're going to soak it up and we're going to create such a ripple effect that even those people, we're going to create so much light that even those people are eventually going to see through their own shit. And even if they don't, we're going to know the perfection for them. Maybe that's what they wanted to experience at a soul level. Right? All right. So coming back to our quote, right? Whether we think we can or we think we can't, we're right. What you think informs your subconscious mind, which then in turn continues to inform the collective, the divine, and the universal, and so on up the chain of dimensions. Right? We mess this up, if you will, for lack of a better word, when we're not aware of what we're thinking. Now, this is tricky because a lot of us, when there is like some pockets of, pain and trauma in there, we think, and this is kind of like where positive thinking gets toxic. And I really want to move away from using that word toxic because I feel like it gets thrown around every time somebody doesn't like what somebody's saying. Oh, you're toxic. Oh, you're pointing out something that's bullshit. You're like, no, right? There's a difference between living in negativity and being toxic and, hey, saying like, this doesn't feel right. I don't agree. And there's a lot of that happening in the world, right? And so what happens is like, we think, and this is what happened with me, right? I thought that I believed in myself. I thought that I had an abundance mindset. But guess what? The results weren't manifesting. So that's the hard truth, you guys. And this is where I want to move into a little exercise is I want you guys to get brutally honest about what your beliefs are in certain areas. And let's really just break it down and look at what are you truly exactly. Well, Alicia, there's a lot of that, right? And that comes from that past life trauma, ancestral trauma. Please get, you guys, every single one of us has had an existence where we've been penalized for our power, but we've also misused our power. Maybe we were put to death for our power, right? Burned at the stake. Maybe we misused our power. We did, I can promise you, right? And that's why there's all this like congestion and fear around being in our power. So our beliefs inform the subjective mind, which in turn just magnetizes and creates our reality. So who's ready to get some truth? Who's ready to get some expansion? Madeline, this is exactly where we're going. We don't know what we don't know. Woo! You guys are feeling it. You're so in flow. That's how I know you guys are receiving it, when you're asking the questions about the thing I'm about to go to. Yes. All right. So it's time to be brutally honest. Now, if you guys want to get a little notebook and keep it in front of you here, please do. But first, I want you to just sit back and receive. I want you to take a big breath in first because we've been having a super invigorating conversation. So just shake it off for a minute. Take a big breath in, let it go. Take another big breath into your belly. Let it go. And I want you to now ask yourself, what have you been creating in the area of your life of health? And I want you to just let the knowing, the images, the pictures, the information come. What are you creating in the area of health and wellness? What do you, just no judgment. What have you been creating? And you guys can type it into the comments if you like. Brutal honesty, right? No judgment. Looking at my journal, remote viewing. And then I want you guys to ask yourselves, what is it that you believe about your body? What do you believe about your health and your power over your body? First thought that comes in, don't overanalyze it. What's the first thought that comes in when you think about your health, your wellness, your body? Weak, fear, food, weight, fear that I'm not able to do something. So do you guys see where you're right? Because in truth, you have 100% power over your body and your health and your wellness. Creating stops, weight issues, breathing. So do you guys see where you're giving away your power? Good. No judgment. We're not analyzing. We're just seeing it, right? We're just witnessing it. Now, in the area of money, abundance, career, work, purpose, it's kind of one big area. Yeah, excuses, right? And just keep these all in mind. We're going to come back to everything. So in the area of your money, your career, your purpose, your work, whatever your work is and what you do for the exchange and allowing in money, what are you creating in that area? What have you been creating in that area? Good. Laziness, flow, support, surrender. Yep. More fear. Good. Just noticing, remember, right? Do you trust money is going to flow or are you in fear of it? Do you invest in yourself wisely or do you hoard money? Do you have to save or do you just know that you can make more money for what you want to do? Are you doing work that fulfills you or not? And then I want you to look at what is your belief in that area? What is your belief in that area? Do you believe that you got to work hard for the money? So hard for the money. Lisa, I'm still waiting for you to come coach, Lisa. Work smarter, not harder. Okay, yes, right. Now, this is a key one, right? So a lot of times consciously we'll say, well, I believe I can work smarter, not harder. But are you actually doing it? Is the money flowing or are there still some areas of hang up? Are there still some little sticky areas where you believe it, but you're not quite letting it in? Cool. All right. Next, we're going to come to love and relationships. What are you creating in the area of love and relationships? Power plays. Oof. Nada. This is an area I excel in, by the way, love and relationships. I have the most amazing husband. I have awesome friends, connecting with them more and more, creating nothing that I don't deserve to be loved. Yeah. So and that's the next question is, what are my beliefs around love and relationships? That I don't deserve to be loved. No partner yet. I'm seen and loved for who I am. Take it or leave it. Do you fully believe that, Sharn, or there's still some sticky areas? Good relationships at arm's length, not worthy at the moment. Yep, good. I'm proud of you guys for being truthful and vulnerable today. And then freedom and creative expression. What are each of you creating for yourself in the area of freedom and creative expression? Does it feel free? Are you fully expressed on a soul level? Awesome, Sharn. Do you feel fully expressed on a soul level? What is your belief around freedom and creative expression, full soul expression? What's the belief that you're creating from? Is it fear of rejection? Or are you creating from expression? Yeah, I want to share that energy in the relationship zone now. Been creating from fear, rejection, people pleasing, getting there. Judgment and insecurities. Yeah, unapologetic as fuck, maybe to a fault. Well, so sometimes, Madeline, right? That's what we do, is because we're trying so hard to convince ourselves that we're in self-acceptance, but we're not fully yet, that we over the line. That was me, right? So you guys, I was so in my like rebellion and I'm just going to say all the things and blah and just be unapologetic, but it's because I was trying to prove to myself that I actually believed that when I didn't yet. That was the blind spot. Same thing with abundance, right? Like I would go out and I would spend money and act over like I believed I was abundant because I was trying to prove it to myself, but I didn't actually believe it yet. And you know how I know I didn't believe it yet is because the results weren't coming in. I wasn't in peace and harmony and abundance and freedom, right? I wasn't. That's the call out I needed. But that's okay, right? Because when we understand what's there, we have power. When we understand what's there is where we have power. And so that's what shows us, right? That's where we then take. So, Sharon, if that question is for me, do I find that I slip back less? I don't slip back at all anymore, hardly ever. There may be like the slightest little thing of like, oh, is there enough money? But it just gets rejected so fast because there's no longer fertile soil for that thought. So you guys, the soil for these thoughts is like infused with the stuff we haven't integrated and released yet, right? That's what's going to show us, okay, so like for you, Madeline, it's like, where is it that you need to expand your consciousness around accepting yourself? Alicia, where do you need to expand your consciousness about being worthy of that partner? What is the thing that needs to be brought to light? Right? When we change the soil, we no longer have to fight against the icky thoughts. They just get rejected because the soil is no longer fertile for them. Right? So Lisa, that's exactly where I'm at. I'm trying to prove to myself that I have the abundance mindset when I don't have it. So where do you need to expand your consciousness around money and trusting that you're worthy and you can call it in? Those are the pockets of trauma, you guys. Those are the things we do the alchemy around. Those are the things we do E4 trauma. We do timeline alchemy, right? There are processes around these things. That's what you get to do when you come and work with me, right? We get to just precision like a surgeon. We get to cut them all out. Yes, you can start to do this on your own. Of course you can. But is it faster and more powerful with a guide? Of course, right? So you go in and you start setting the intention to expand your consciousness around those areas. And when the events come up to be transmuted, you allow it instead of pushing it back down. That's the problem, is a lot of times when we try to do it on ourselves, consciousness is trying to bubble stuff up for us to release it, but we don't allow it. We don't allow it. Place of transformation. And I'm starting to believe, yes, of course. We don't know how to release it on our own. Yeah, because it's uncomfortable, right? We're not programmed to want to go in there and look at that stuff. And that's the power of coming and, doing this work with me or a coach or somebody, right? Trusting that I'm worthy, trusting that money comes frequently and easily if I want it to. Yes. So here's the thing, you guys, right? As I'm just kind of reading back on your comments, is that, right, you've recognized these pieces Now, usually it's like someone would be like, well, just go make a new affirmation. But guess what? If that concrete wall is there because there is trauma, you're not going to accept the new perspective. You're not going to accept the new potential. You're going to reject it. And as much as I mean, I wish that there was like a quick, easy little answer I could give you today to go and do, and poof, you would accept it. But there's not, it's a journey you have to take. Fairly free, but not fully expressed. Yep. But what I do want to leave you all with is that every single one of these places that you're creating from limitation, guess what? You have the power and the potential to create the exact opposite. Madeline struggling between the knowing I'm worthy and deeply believing it. And so that's where, right, direct your consciousness into, well, what is keeping me from deeply believing it? And that's where the work is, right? Because none of you came here to be buffeted around by the world, like the world and circumstances. You came here to learn how to command the ship. That is you. You didn't come here to set yourself out to sea and get blown all over the place. You came here, literally, life is the masterclass that you came for to teach you how to command the ship. So will you guys embrace the masterclass of your soul? Or continue to sit in grade 1 pretending like you don't know what you're doing, right? Every single one of you, and I'm going to come to your question in a second, Madeline. Every single one of you, it is done. You guys, it is done, it is done, it is done. You've always had the power, my dear. You've just had to learn it for yourself, like Glinda said, right? Or like the Oracle said to Neo, you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You are here to understand why you made it. So every single one of you is here to understand why, what your power is, who you are, what choice you're here to understand the choices you made. So you can start doing this work by going into meditation and asking your consciousness to direct you to, what is the thing keeping me from believing this? What do I need to clear to fully believe in myself? What do I need to clear to trust in money? And then you have to be open and willing when you're shown what that thing is. You have to be willing to face it, not just mentally, right? We have to move the emotions. You have to let yourself purge the emotions that are holding that belief in place. You can do this in meditation. You can do this in journaling. What do I need to clear? Yes, exactly. Right? Yes, yes, yes. You guys are fucking ready. Of course you are. That's why you're here. This is like soul contract stuff happening. You're not here by accident. Right? I fully believe every single person, whether you come to one of my free webinars, whether you're in my first Facebook group, whether you become one of my clients or in my group program, whether I'm helping you in another program, right? Soul contracts, it's all agreements because we're on similar soul missions. And we've contracted for me to be someone who helps serve you as a guide. I want to see results before I actually believe in something fully, Lisa. And that's the thing that will keep you looping until you surrender the need to that and you start getting the belief from within. That's when it will rapid expansion. There are parts of belief systems that have holes, but I'm having trouble finding them or bringing them to the surface. Yeah. So Madeline, I'm glad you were here today too, David, of course. So in closing, and if you guys have any more questions, please drop them in the chat now. I'm gonna take a couple more minutes here. So in closing, you guys, please, like if you want to just nail this work and do it, like there's no shortcut, but I invite you to come and Let me give you guys some links as well. Let me come out of this screen share. So two of the biggest things that will support you guys is your meditation and your affirmative prayer, right? Spiritual mind treatment. Starting to condition your mind into understanding that you have the fucking power. Some of that will come through meditation. You can sit in meditation and you can ask your consciousness to show you. I'll give you guys some links here. This is my Facebook group. Obviously, we're continuing this conversation there all the time. If you would like to find out about coming and joining the portal, the program, you can take this link and book in for a little chat and we'll talk about what that looks like. If you know, like if you guys just know fully that you're ready to like do this deeper work and you want to just, like I said, be guided through it with precision and receive and learn how to do these processes on yourself, E4 trauma, quantum timeline alchemy, and these other things, then that's the thing to come and do. Just plain and simple. If you want to play around with, like, if you don't feel like you're ready to do that, this is just the portal. I want in. Woo! So we start in a couple weeks. Just, you can send me a message privately and we can talk a little bit more about the details. And then here, this is where you guys are going to find the replays of all of this whole series. Okay. So my biggest suggestion, you guys, is breathing into your heart space. Madeline, are you still here? Breathe into your heart space regularly, because these answers are not going to come from your mind. And because you specifically asked, so I want to answer for all of you. You guys, breathe into your heart space and ask consciousness to guide you. Right? These answers are out there, because even I really want to hammer this home in complete transparency. Inviting you to come and work with me in the portal, it's not because I have any answers that you don't have. It's that I have understandings and expansion in my consciousness that you don't have yet, that allow me to see your blind spots, which means that with precision, I can guide you from that to them and then take you through some processes that allow the mind to understand that it's actually already done. Because again, you've always had the power, my dear. You just have to realize it. So the world that we live in means that sometimes we have to take a journey to understand that we've always had the power. And that's what, coming and working in the program can do. Okay. But you can start to play around with this on your own, because the answers are there. It's just how able are you to hold yourself accountable to pulling the emotions up, right? I'm good at doing that now, but in the beginning, that's why it took me 4 fucking years to unearth the things that were blocking me. Because when consciousness tried to bubble them up, I resisted. And I looked outwardly and I was like, oh, it's this strategy. Oh, I have to go over here and like learn this other system, instead of just looking at what was trying to bubble up. Oh, I need you to let me go learn sales, because it's that I don't know how to sell. No, it's that I don't believe in myself. Oh God, you guys, my heart is so full. I would love to hear from each and every one of you. What was your favorite part of today's session? And I definitely encourage you to go back and watch it again. Watch them all again, receive them all. So Madeline, go to also the replay page for any of you guys that like want more, and go watch the emotional alchemy one, because we did a timeline process in that. So you'll receive that, and do it with the intention of whichever the thing is you're wanting to focus on. Go receive the healing and see what comes up for you. That's a great place to start too. That exercise was, you like the exercise, David. Awesome, awesome, awesome. What else? Tell me, you guys, what was your biggest takeaways? What was your favorite part? Investing and expanding your consciousness will always pay off, right? The evaluation of different areas of your life. Good, you guys. And that's something that when you make that a regular practice and you regularly evaluate the areas of your life, it's like evaluating and keeping your books, right? You can start to see where you're creating from and what needs tweaking. All right. Like a lightning bolt. Yes, I love your honesty. Oh, why, thank you. That means so much to me, especially from a radical acceptance standpoint. Yes, yes, and yes. I love you guys, all of you. Hearing your personal story and expansion. Thank you, Alicia. Hugs. I heart you too. I'll see you tomorrow in yoga, I hope. All right, so all of you go forth, go out into the world, be your amazing selves, be wildly you, be authentically you, and that is how you will call it all in. It is done, it is done, it is done. Remember that. And I just am holding you all in truth and knowing the truth and the perfection of exactly where you are, why you came to this session today, where you're at on your journey, where you're heading. I am holding you all, knowing that it is done, it is done, it is done. I'll see you all soon. Much love and hugs. Bye.